Hey folks, this is Ben Yessel. How's it going? Um, I may have made a video about this before, but I seriously doubt it. Um, but I think it's time I did. And there's probably some things I just can't get, I just couldn't get to in this video, or won't be able to get to in this video that I could also say, but I'll try to cover the bases pretty well. So there's a gentleman from Brazil. I can't remember his full name, but he goes by Brother Carlos. Brother Carlos. And I think he was raised or grew up Catholic, but then kind of did his own thing, something more evangelical, of evangelical nature, where he became a born again Catholic of sorts. I'm not really sure exactly what his specific religion is. I couldn't tell you, but it's somewhere in the vicinity of Catholicism meets the evangelical, Pentecostal, but evangelical kind of thing. Okay, so I as these things go online, I have really no concept of what he's like as a person, because no firsthand, or nothing. How do I put this? I've never met him face to face. I can only assume, I can only assume that he is a good man. He certainly carries himself that way. That he's very concerned with everybody's spiritual well-being, right? You would think that he certainly puts a heck of a lot of time into what he does, and we'll get to what he does here in a second. Brother Carlos, and what he does is he has these videos. Well, he does many things outside of this, but at least what he does on YouTube is he has these hours and hours of, hours of, like, many videos. Like, some of these are just tremendously long, like absurdly long videos, where he's just supposedly casting out demons in people that are watching. I'm going to repeat that. Casting out demons. evil demons, right? Under Satan, right? In the Christian, from a Christian theology, evil demons, folks. Evil. Right? Extremely evil. Extremely. That's demons, right? Not just something minorly evil or something pesky, or not some other minor kind of being that might be annoying. No, demons. And he's casting them out online to people that are watching. And so people that are watching his stuff, what do you do after, for people that watch his stuff for hours and hours? I have no, you're going to convince yourself, or some people might convince themselves, oh, I may have a demon in me. That's why I have a sore throat, or I'm coughing, or I feel sick or nauseous, or I burped, or gas or something. All kinds of stuff like that. You can see what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like, sorry folks, just trying to adjust this here a little bit. Look, And this is a kind of a big thing amongst folks south of the border. I mean, south of. So this is kind of, because he's from Brazil. So this is Brazil, Latin America. He seems to be a big deal in that area of the world. Or at least he's more well known. Or at least a lot of folks that are watching his stuff with more of a very sincere, sober intent are probably more from that background or from that area of the world. And so, I mean, as a general rule, I try to love everybody. Of course, I love Latin Americans. Of course, in general. Sure. These are people that are known the world over as being very spiritually minded, religious. They take this stuff seriously. Yeah. No, I know this firsthand. American Indians. I served a 2-year mission in my church in the Southwest. Yeah. Take this stuff spiritually. Good and evil. It's very much a big deal. A big deal. And they take that stuff seriously. So, that being said, when you have these folks like Brother Carlos, who, I don't know personally, I can only assume he's a good person, good being whatever you want to make of it. But, I don't see him as being an ungodly person. I don't see him as being a wicked person. I'm not really sure entirely what to make of him. I see as kind of a little bit of a distortion of something good, though. So obviously this is going to kind of get into religion a little bit. With practices like prayer to God or prayer to be protected from evil, that kind of stuff, there is a way. An attitude, a general attitude, way of being that I think people ought to adopt with not only prayer, but all things everything that has to do with any kind of worship or relation with God. And that is something more in a state of humility and doing things like prayer more in private. And if you certainly can pray in public, but when you pray in public, you still need to have an attitude of humility and an attitude of wanting to help other people and serve other people and help them to be better in life, to be okay. You want the best for other people, basically. One can only assume that Brother Carlos, that's what he wants. But when you listen to his videos, aside from wondering if you have some kind of evil spirit in your inside, because this is why some people think this is about a lot of hocus pocus, and you get the whole agnostic atheist thing. Yeah, I understand fully. But it's kind of like, it's the length of these videos. It's how long he's going on, and he's going into such detail about all the human shortcomings and frailties and the human condition, weaknesses, sicknesses, and all the sins and things that people do that are wrong. Sins of the flesh, and all kinds of stuff. He's going into all this detail. And so, in a way, you feel a little bit like it's a church sermon mixed with something is supposedly wrong inside of you, and he's trying to exorcise it. How can you not think that way at least a little bit after such a long period of time? Most people would end up not watching the whole thing, and if you watch the whole thing, that's a lot of time you've just essentially wasted. Because if you don't have an evil spirit inside of you, you might as well just, read the Bible or something, or, you might as well just go to church. You can always be reminded of Christian doctrine. You know, that's why one of the reasons why we go to church. You know, and you're reminded of the wrongfulness of certain actions, perhaps, which is good. But again, you know, what's the purpose of watching that whole thing? And if anybody was actually possessed by a demon, what in the right mind, what would, I mean, possession, full-on possession, that person would not be looking up videos on YouTube. That person would be going nuts. I mean, a person would be not themselves. So it's kind of like, well, in my opinion, folks that are watching this video, all these videos by Brother Carlos from Brazil, they're not demon possessed. Why would they be demon possessed? Possession is insanely rare, and some people just don't believe in it at all. Of course, I understand that, but it's just so rare that it's, I mean, it exists in my opinion. Sure, it exists, but no. To help people out, or to, no, how can I put this? It goes beyond that. To engage in, I say, spiritual warfare, or to fight spiritual battle against evil spirits in whatever shape, form, or capacity. Again, in my faith, we have a different way of handling it, somewhat, and of course, in Catholicism and other faiths. But it's like it involves. Generally, in my opinion, it's, well, it's, I'm just going to say it. No, you need face-to-face conversation. You need to be there with the person, there in their home. It shouldn't, you know, I don't know, every situation is a little different, but it's it's a very different matter than somebody going online for hours and hours and hours and just going on and on about stuff. It's different. I might have made a video about this before. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Maybe I have, but it is this whole... there's kind of a lot of folks on YouTube, increasingly, that you guys have maybe heard of, like Bob Larson. And some of these movements in Africa, maybe, that involve casting out demons, but in a very sensational way. And stuff like that. Now, I think you guys are probably catching on to what I'm talking about on some level. And if you aren't yet, you might. You very well might. Very shortly. Folks, if something is televised, heavily televised on YouTube, for it's entertainment, basically. We watch it like we're watching a scary movie like The Exorcist, something, right? If something is, if something involves money, Kenneth Copeland, money. What does this have anything to do with godliness and just Christianity, man? What is this? What does all this insanity have anything to do with any of that stuff? People acting nuts, whether they're possessed or not, rolling on the ground, speaking in tongues and all this stuff. It has nothing at all to do with real Christian doctrine. Nothing. It's insane, it's bizarre, it's weird, it's wrong. When Joseph Smith, the first prophet of my church, when he, way back in the early 1800s, he visited some different religious communities in the area. I I won't say which ones. You guys can look it up if you want to. But when he visited them, yeah, he probably can guess what I'm about to say. He didn't like what he saw. People running around chasing balls, like invisible balloons or balls in the air, rolling around, acting like weird in a church setting. I mean, a church with pews and stuff like that. No, I mean, why would you feel comfortable in that kind of environment? You wouldn't. It's wrong. It's not godly. It's not Christ-like. It's not something that invites the Spirit of the Lord. And he knew that. And it's, folks, whether you're Protestant or Catholic or whatever faith you are, that kind of behavior, right? No, it's not right. It's very weird and it's wrong. If it's bizarre and strange and all that stuff, yeah, it's definitely something's not right. There's a weird, funny feeling in the air. Yeah, it's darkness. That's wrong. And if someone is actually ever possessed, then you definitely want to take care of that, but you don't do it in a way that's sensationalized. If it involves people paying money and all this stuff, no. So getting back to Brother Carlos here, and so many people watch this stuff and they're very, they're going to take good and evil seriously, which is, you should. You ought to, right? And if you don't take good and evil seriously, at some point in life, you will. Probably. Hopefully. So, it's just good and evil realities, regardless of one's faith. But so people take good and evil seriously, and they want to be rid of evil. So what do? They, it's when anyone preys on the noble and otherwise goodly desires of people to be more at peace, when someone preys on that desire, there's a term that I know of, and I'm not necessarily, I don't know, Brother Carlos might have good intentions. The term is priestcraft, folks. Priestcraft involves putting oneself up on a pedestal in place of someone like Jesus. That's priestcraft. When someone has all that money coming to them, tons and tons of money. Oh, it's for our ministries. Oh, it's for... Sure. And a lot of people can see right through it. But some people have a tough time with seeing that because, we do want the Lord to come again. We do want to put our full faith in people that are good, or we think that are good. But some people just are sometimes just, they buy into this stuff. And it's, I usually, because I'm so familiar with evangelical type stuff, ministers like in the South and in the United States, because I'm so familiar with that, I tend to not. I don't, as a general rule, I don't make fun of people that are into that stuff. I just don't think it's very tasteful. Try to get along with those folks better. But this is kind of a novelty, I suppose you could say, from some place like Latin America, Brazil, when this stuff is happening. So it's very peculiar that it just goes on and on and on for hours and hours and hours. And you can watch his stuff if you want to, but it's weird. Am I saying that he's a bad person? No. Am I saying I don't know the man? It's kind of a waste of time. And it's, I guess, kind of fun to say, oh, is there an evil spirit? And people don't have who knows? Very few people know what it's like to be, to be around that kind of evil. People talk about demons and stuff. We don't. Most people just have no concept of what it's like to be around real, real evil, right? Most people have no. That's okay. That's actually for the best. None of us want that experience ever, And yes, I have been around real evil at least once in my life. I've felt that feeling. I never want to experience that feeling ever again, right? But I know what it feels like. I wasn't possessed, of course. It was just on my mission, Skinwalker was around and stuff. But it was real. It was real. You don't want to have those experiences. You don't even want to mess with it. You don't want anything to do with any of that stuff. If you believe in the paranormal stuff and you go that route and you're watching all the scary movies, just don't mess with Ouija boards, seances, all that stuff. It's all no. Just no, right? Just don't do it. And if you don't believe in that stuff and you think it's all hocus pocus, okay, still don't do it, right? But, there's some kind of connection with fascination with this stuff and with watching Brother Carlos's stuff over and over again. Because, instead of focusing on good things, you think that if you're talking to somebody, you're just trying to help them feel better, and you talk to them about uplifting, godly, good things and beautiful music and all that stuff, that tends to do the job. It really does. If someone's possessed, that's a different story, and but all that stuff will still help, absolutely. But why not just do that? Talk about good things instead of going on and on about all this bad stuff. If you address anything that's ungodly, when, like, say a church talk in my case, and in our church, ungodly, wrong, evil, abnormal, bizarre, unnatural, perverted. If you get into that stuff and you go deep, you only do that with the intent to help people not do those things, repent of those things. Otherwise, what's the point? You're talking about evil practices, right? And so when you talk about evil practices without the intent to have people change, that's what repentance is: change, permanent change. Hopefully, that's the idea. Then the point is a fascination with evil. It's a fascination with sin. So that's one of the things that is going on here with, I don't know if it's Brother Carlos, I don't know, but it's one of the effects it can have on people. You go and talk about this stuff over and over, all the time, over and over again. I can't tell you how many hours of videos this guy has. Is it wrong? You be the judge. But guys, it's not. Look, even for Catholics, for Catholicism, no, they wouldn't agree with it. At least, probably the majority of Catholics, or they'd have mixed feelings about it. Probably mixed feelings. They wonder what online exorcism, what, and a lot of folks just think exorcism's kind of not sure what to make of it as well. A lot of Catholics they're just Christian, they love the Pope and they want to be a good Catholic, and that's how most Catholics are. They don't get into all that weird stuff. Most Catholics I knew growing up were just, they didn't always go to church all the time, but they knew what the 10 Commandments, and they tried to be good people, and that was about it. So yeah, this is this is the nature of my thoughts here. And so I hope if Brother Carlos sees this video, and I'm guessing I might have made something like this before, but if he sees this video, I hope he really thinks very, very intently about these things. Because you don't want people to waste their time, for one. And you don't want people to become paranoid about something that's probably not going on. And most of the time, demons whisper things in our souls, or in our minds, or they have some kind of influence over us because of, well, the extent to which we allow them to, do that. That's really what's going on 99.99% of the time. Possession is rare. It's rare. It does. I admit that it does happen, but that's one of those things where, yeah, you would know. It's just, there's no guesswork. There's no guesswork. If anybody is ever possessed, because you can't control yourself. And it's funny because when you fly into a fit of rage, there's those momentary times when you probably feel like you can't control yourself. And I'm also convinced, by the way, that there's at least a very temporary kind of possession that can happen, but it's debatable. And I'm definitely welcoming psychologists and everybody to talk about that subject. But no, I think I put some stock in that. But it's every situation's a bit different, I suppose. Okay, you guys leave me thoughts and comments below. Catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.